And hello, everybody. It's another Wednesday. You are here with Mel. And this week we are talking about humanity-centered change and transformation. Yes, not human-centered change and transformation, but humanity-centered transformation. That's a little bit of a hint to the framework, the HTX framework update that will be coming out in late September, early October. So we're expanding out from human to really mean humanity, which is human and planet. My name is Mel Ross. I am going to be your host for the next 30 minutes or so. We're going to be talking about something really, really important for us all, working in the world of change and transformation as modern leaders and practitioners, something super, super important that we might not be focusing on in order to affect successful change and transformation, be that project or organizational change. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And those of you that know me well, and I like a bit of a quote, don't I? I love starting these sessions with a bit of a quote. So let's have a look at what we've got going on today. Probably starting off with a little bit of negativity, given that I'm a positive psychologist in terms of my practice. 80% of transformation initiatives are forecast to fail. That is something that has been bandied around for quite a while. And I guess it's not for us to argue or question whether this quote is academically correct or not. It's just the essence of this that says it's tough. It's tough out there at the moment. Any change or transformation is getting more challenged with the complexity of the world that we are living in, and also that unknown potential that is ahead of us and around the corner. So that's a really, really important kind of positioning frame for the beginning of today's session. And now I want to share with you the next quote, which is, of course, Pareto's Law. We've probably all heard of Pareto's Law, and it's really, really important for us. And Pareto's Law comes up time and time again for our community of practice, for practitioners, change managers, and project managers that are qualified professional certified practitioners in our framework, is that we use Pareto's Law all the time. And it's 80% of the outcome is likely down to just 20% of your effort. So where are we putting our real priority effort, our real focused effort? Because 20% of that effort is 80% of the outcome. And that has got a big play on time management and energy, as well as attention management. So today, I want to talk about the one thing that we could start focusing in on 20% effort in order to change an 80% outcome from challenge in terms of change and transformation, or even failure, toward success and ease. And here we go. 80% of success is down to mindset, and only 20% down to skill. Now, we may have heard of the life rule before, and you might think, oh, Mel, really? Is that the great grand reveal for today's session? Well, yeah, it is. And I know that the majority of people that are on the call today, and those of you that are listening on playback, will probably agree with this. But the point that I want to make today is, how much time do you really spend focusing on your mindset? How much prioritization, how much protected space do you give to the development and the evolution of your own mindset, your own modern-minded practice, you as an effective modern-minded leader, professional and practitioner? 80% of success is down to mindset, only 20% is down to skill. That's the life rule. We should be bringing the life rule into business. We should be bringing the life rule into work and change and transformation. And yet, this is what we do. This is where we find ourselves time and time again. And this is where we see our managers and our leaders. People are working harder and harder and harder at their jobs at the expense of working on themselves. And yet, 80% of success is down to working on who we are, not the skill of what we do. That's the life rule. So if we bring the life rule into our business, into our work practice, my goodness, just think of the potential power we have for changing the rules of the game. People work harder at their jobs instead of themselves. Is that true for you? Can you recognize that in a manager or a leader or a peer that you work with, a colleague? People work harder at their jobs instead of themselves. So the key message today really is this: how do we work harder on ourselves so that the job becomes easier in and of itself? And that's by practicing the life rule. 80% of success is mindset, only 20% is skill. So what I want to do is I want to just answer the question, because a lot of the time when we're on these kind of calls, when we're on these webinars, we get these wonderful people kind of full of energy, a little bit like myself, giving you all of this lovely, solution problem stuff, but they don't really tell you how. And I want to really focus in on how today. And let's get back to Pareto's law. If we want to really start affecting change, we need to start small. And if we just start focusing 20% on mindset, we know that there is going to be a significant impact on the outcome. So rather than 20% of effort going on what we do, if we put just 20% of our effort, focused effort in our week on who we are, we will be affecting 80% of the outcome. Ease of change and transformation, success of projects and initiatives. So how do we do that? Well, the first thing that we need to do is we need to get our foundations right. And what do I mean by that? Getting our foundations right is actually knowing who we are. And what does knowing who you are mean? It means knowing your strength. It means knowing your uniqueness. It means knowing where you want to go, where you want to be. Getting the foundations right is an imperative. The next thing is prioritizing time for your mindset, is protecting time within your working week to work on who you are. And this is really interesting, because when I'm talking with leaders in particular, and professionals around change and transformation, and I ask them about their own personal development or their professional development, their learning, where are they doing that development practice? And 9 times out of 10 people will say on the weekend, catching time in the evening, getting up earlier. Why aren't you doing that in the working hours of the day? But I don't have any time, Mel. Or work pressures, the priorities and the deadlines that my boss is giving me don't allow me the luxury of prioritizing any time within the working hours on my mindset. Now that's wrong. That basically means there's something in our belief system that is wrong, because there is time in our working week for us to prioritize time on our mindset. So when I'm talking about prioritizing time on mindset, I'm not talking about stealing time away from your wife, your husband, your kids, your downtime, your relaxation time, and certainly not your weekend. I'm talking about prioritizing time for your weekend within your working hours. And then something tactical. Each and every one of us, whether we are in the operational world of change and transformation, or whether we are leading vision or driving change as a manager or leader, we should all see ourselves at the center of change first. And what do I mean by that? At any given moment, when we connect with a human being, that knows that we are delivering or leading change, they will look to us for trust. They will look to us for guidance. And I don't mean guidance as in tell. I mean guidance as in Sherpa. Yeah, if you think about a Sherpa and you're there on base camp and you want to get up to the top of the Everest mountain, you will go with a Sherpa, and that Sherpa will guide you. What does that Sherpa do? That Sherpa ensures that the path that you take is the best path, is protected, is safe, is secure for you to do and be and achieve what you want to do and be and achieve. And that's what we ought to be thinking about when we see ourselves at the center of change. To ensure that every time we connect with a human being, we are mindful of what they experience in us as role models, to get that sense of change, to feel that sense of protection and safety in order for them themselves to lean in. That's massive, hugely, hugely important, in particular for the leaders of your organization. And the next thing, another tactical thing, is reframe in order to retrain. Reframing our mindset to retrain it is super important. And the way that we do that is to reframe from negative to positive, from weak to strong, from gap to gain. Positivity is not a weak word. It's a strong word. It's a powerful word. Positivity is not soft and fluffy. It is courageous and it is brave. So each one of us, as practitioners, professionals, and leaders in the modern world of business and work, really starting with reframing to retrain positivity in our language, positivity in our emotions, in our beliefs, in our physicality, how we're standing, how we're sitting, how we're engaging with people. Positivity in every aspect of our practice, our written word, our spoken word, our thinking words, as well as our emotions, as well as our movements. Positivity. And oh boy, is that sticky. That's so sticky. It's contagious. Positive energy is the single energy that is both contagious and unlimited. People cannot help but get a little bit of it. So spread out the positivity and you will start to dramatically shift that 80% outcome from challenge and failure to success and ease. And finally, learn only, never fail. Now, a lot of people kind of, challenge me on that one. They go, oh, come on, Mel, it's all about failure. That's the whole point of it. We've got to fail. We've got to experiment. Even you yourself tell us when we're training as practitioners or when you're working with me as a leader on my modern mindedness, you talk about experimentation and being adaptive. Surely failure is good. Well, actually, I will argue that. I will challenge that. I will be courageous and say no. Because if it is failure and you see it only as failure and walk away, then yeah, that's all it is failure. But the moment you look for the learning, the moment you look for the seed of insight and data to learn, to stretch, to change, to do better, to adapt, it ceases to be failure. Learn only, never fail. Just by focusing 20% of our working hours on who we are, prioritizing that time for our focused attention on mindset, who we are and how we show up, seeing ourselves at the center of change, reframing to retrain, and adopting the principle of learn only, never fail. These 5 things are the real starting points of shifting our own practice, shifting change and transformation with a 20% effort to affect an 80% outcome. That's it. And time and again, we can prove that these 5 elements, when we're focusing these 5 elements on 20% of our effort in terms of ourselves from the inside out, it will affect 80% of the externals. It will support and help the people that are the users of our change and transformation. It will support and help the team that we're working with in the project management office or the change office. It will support and guide the leaders themselves to start leaning in to these 5 elements. So start by focusing on 20% of your own practice in these 5 areas, and you will start to change 80% of the external outcome of your change and transformation. Now, what I want to do now is I want to just focus in on those first 2 elements. The first one is getting your foundations right first. And the second one is prioritizing your own modern mindset. So I want to share with everybody, what do I really mean by those 2 things? So getting your foundations right first, knowing who you are, is what we call our personal professional priorities. And in our work, what we call, these are the 5 Ps. And you can work on these using tools that are available out in the market. Some are free, some are paid. You can work with these with a coach or a mentor. You can work with these with a buddy. Just get together with a colleague of yours and just work through these 5 Ps together. Discover and explore together. Who are you? Do you know your strengths? Do you know your uniqueness, which is separate and distinctly different to your strength? And do you understand the value that you contribute to this current system and time? Do you understand and really know the value contribution that you bring to the current system and time? Because those of you that work in change and transformation, every change project, every transformation is slightly different. And the value contribution that you bring to each and every project and program will need to shift to align to that environment and that system. And that gives you profile, that gives you who you are, that allows you to know who you need to be for that project, that program, that system. P2 is purpose. P2 is you making sure that you have given yourself time to be able to understand where you want to be, what the ultimate goal is for you. You're 80 years old, you're sitting on a park bench with me, and I'm saying to you, how did it go? If everything went according to plan, what are people saying about you now? The moonshot, the North Star, the purpose and the cause that gets you out of bed in the morning. Get yourself aligned to it. That's P2. P3 is a beautiful thing because it's one coin and each coin has 2 sides. It's about being present, actively listening, making sure that you are here now in the moment. But it's also about having presence. If we have got clarity of profile, if we absolutely are aligned to purpose, and if we are present in the moment, in the eyes of other human beings, we will have presence. What's presence? It's charisma, it's trust, it's stickiness, it's energy that just ripples out to other people. This is the stuff that brings people on the journey with us. P4 is what we call prepared. And prepared is responsiveness, it's resilience, it's future orientated. Prepared is really making sure that we are not just obsessed with the time and now, but we have an understanding of the runway ahead of us. We have an understanding of the inevitability of the trajectory of where key forces are going. Prepared is about being aware of the outside. Prepared is about understanding what is going on outside in our world and not just focusing in the silo and the blinkers of our organization or our sector or our geography. In order to be prepared, we need to be looking forward and out. And then The fifth P, P5, of course, is positivity. And I've alluded to that already in the reframe to retrain. And positivity is an incredibly important aspect of modern business and work, change and transformation. There is so much anxiety. There is time poverty. There is so much challenge and resistance at the moment. We have got so much legacy in our organizational systems that really struggle to keep this sense of energy, positive energy and strength-based energy in play. And we as practitioners, once we see ourselves in the center of change, that means that we can bring positivity into play. The moment you get somebody in a positive frame of mind, you are opening a door for them to change. The moment you are able to get somebody to think about their strengths, you are able to align them with where the change is going in terms of its objectives. Positivity and strength-based focus are super, super important. So this is what we mean by getting your foundations right at the very start. P1, P2, 3, 4, and 5, profile, presence, preparedness, purpose, and positivity are super important. Where are you with these 5 things? Where are you with these 5 things? Do you feel that you've really nailed one of them? Do you feel that you might want to work a little bit on 1 or 2 of them? Leveling out the playing field on your priorities, your personal, professional priorities, is an important element for all of us within that 20%. And remember, I'm talking 20% in your working hours, right? In your working hours. These are not the things that we need to be stealing time from our personal life for. These are the things that we need to be bringing into our work life. Now that's getting your foundations right. Once we've got this strong foundation, we have bravery, we have courage, we have the ability to be an early adopter, we have the ability to swim in the opposite direction of the majority, which means we are change agents, which means we are role models, which means we are crazy dancers on the side of the hill. And the next thing that we can do then is to start to really think about this prioritizing time on our mental modeling. And mental modeling in a modern world is really important for us, because who we are as a role model in terms of our modern-mindedness in the world that we live in today has never been more complex. We have got 5 generations in the workplace. How do we, with our mental modeling and our belief system, how do we bring the right mindset to be able to connect with all of them? The fact that we're not in simple, obvious organizations anymore. We're not in times where there is one solution and it's so incredibly easy to identify the problem. Everything is complicated. Everything is complex. There are multiple right answers for everything that we're working with right now in the world that we live in today. So many complexities. Technology is constantly changing and maturing. We've got generative AI now coming into play, prompt engineering, the new skill of the age that we're living in right now. There are so many changes coming in left, right, and center so fast upon us. How do we stay on top of that? That's modern mindset. If we've got the right modern mindset modeling, that is what allows us to be able to really deal with and manage and stay ahead of the game with the complexity of our environment, with the generational complexity, with the technological complexity, with the fragmentation of noise and messages, the vast amounts of data. Think about all of those things. And that is the mental modeling that we need to be thinking about. So for us, the prioritization of your mental modeling, of your mindset, has to be broken down into the key areas of complexity that we as leaders and change practitioners are dealing with, are leading and designing and delivering and helping people on the journey. So these are the 7 mindsets of modern work and business. These are the mental models that if we are prioritizing time to understand and evolve, We will be able to connect and align with multi-generations and cultures. We will be able to lean into multiple right answers and be adaptive. We will be able to connect and understand that we are networked ecosystems and not just organizational silos. There is a requirement now for us to be vulnerable so that others trust us, to be authentic and transparent. There is a requirement for us to start to really play into the ethics of data. It is not somebody else's job to ask the questions or to decide the answers around data. It is a collective that needs to be doing that, and it needs to be driven by the leaders. Data mindfulness is so much about ethics when we're thinking about a modern complex system. And of course, future prepared, the future orientated mindset, as I'd mentioned earlier on, that's so incredibly important. How many leaders are lacking in capability and foresight when it comes to trends and probability and future? Leaving it up to somebody else. Data mindfulness and future focused are two very, very important mindset dimensions for leaders in particular, because what these two mindset dimensions say is this: what may have in a simpler system been down to the expertise of a domain like technology, like business planning, like the data department or the information department, that was fine for the time. But the times that we're living in now, there is a requirement for leaders to level up, for leaders to take on board the requirement for them to start role modeling the good use, the ethical use of data, the good use and the ethical use of moving forward into the future, of playing around with the future in order for us to understand which right answer we're going for. And of course, the final dimension is human-centeredness. Human-centeredness. What do I mean by human-centeredness? This is quite easy. Just take the label off. Take the label off all of the humans that are in your system and start to see each and every one of them as a human in terms of profile. Think about who people are before we think about what they do, just as we should be doing for ourselves, who we are before what we do. Human-centeredness is so incredibly important. I was with a group of leaders last week and just posing that question of how many audience segments and groups in our working life do we just unconsciously engage with based on a label, a partner, a supplier, a stakeholder, a member, a user. And even within our system, take off the label and think about people in terms of who they are as a profile. And that takes time, that takes effort, that really does take some work for us to understand, but it opens up the door. So prioritizing time for our modern mindset is about us looking at each one of these 7 dimensions and first and foremost thinking to ourselves, what beliefs do I have? What beliefs do I have around digital and technology? What are my beliefs? Do I believe that it's a good thing? Do I believe that it's something that is part of everyday life? What are my beliefs? What are my beliefs around agile and adaptive and experimentation? Do I believe positively or do I believe negatively? Do the beliefs that I have for each one of these dimensions serve change and transformation, or do they hinder it? And I can almost bet my bottom dollar that everybody on the call today, everybody listening on playback, will probably have a limiting belief somewhere along the line here. Will have a belief that just is a little bit, weak. We all have work to do. And the other thing as well about this is, if we're living in a world that is fast paced in terms of change, if we're living in a world that is not just change as a constant, but extremes of change now becoming constant, then that means that these mindsets never have an end game. They're dynamic. So that protection of 20% of our time, just as a starter for 10 in our working hours, focusing on these mental models of modern-mindedness is super important, because we want to constantly keep leveling up these 7 mindsets as the world around us is changing. There is no end game when it comes to these. And I know this myself. After 10 years, I'm still leveling up when it comes to each and every one of these mindsets. So when we put these 2 elements together, what we get is we get modern leadership in terms of a T model. So it's just a really easy way for us to understand. Let's first help ourselves and others get to grips with the 5 Ps. The personal and professional priorities. Not 2 of them, not 3 of them, but all 5 of them for a modern world. And once we've got that, then what we can do is we can then start questioning our belief system across the 7 dimensions and start to shift our behavior and then our actions and our words. And think about some habits and think about some practices within that 20% of our working day that we can continue to practice on those things. T model leadership for a modern world. Everything that I've shared with you today is part of the humanity-centered transformation framework. And of course, there is professional certification for anybody who would really like to put the human and the planet right at the center of change and transformation alongside yourself. Standing there shoulder to shoulder with human and planet at the center of change and transformation. Come on, you know it makes sense. And there are 2 routes that you can take as a professional. You can take the practitioner certification route, which means that you are able to train in the use of the framework, in the design and the delivery of humanity-centered change and transformation. So it's using the framework alongside your existing toolkit, be that Agile, Waterfall, ProSci, whatever tools you use. The humanity-centered framework alongside those really gives you that edge. It gives you that ability to really focus on shifting that 80% outcome away from challenge and failure to ease and success. And those of you that work directly with individuals or groups within the system, coaches, business coaches or mentors, learning and development practitioners or trainers, then we also have a mentor coach certification. And that is slightly different, because that is where you are working with an individual or a small group of people using our profiling tool, understanding the framework to work deeply with a human or a small group of humans in the system, which is slightly different to the practitioner certification. Those 2 routes are available for all practitioners, all professionals in the world of change and transformation. So if you'd like to know more about that, then please do let me know. DM me at mel.ross@adapterdigital.com, and I will be sharing some information with you at the end of when I send the email out to everybody. I also want to share with you all the Tea with Mel coaching program, and I'm super excited about this. And I think, you know, this is something that I am absolutely passionate about. This is my passion project alongside my day job, and this is all about one thing and one thing only: helping leaders and managers level up to being the role models they need to be, because culture shifts by looking up. And our managers and our leaders are struggling to be role models. If you are a manager or a leader, or if you are working with managers and leaders and they need help to be the role models, to be those Sherpas, then Tea with Mel is the option that you might want to share with them, or indeed engage with yourself. Do more with less, 80% on mind and 20% on action. Tea with Mel is all about the foundations of getting to that 80% mindset and 20% action. It's a 12-week program, and each week there is a one-to-one private session with myself. It is intensive, it is high impact, but the good news is it is also highly transformational. I'm limiting this first season to 20 places. So if you'd like to know more about it, again, please do let me know. Either pop T into the chat or indeed DM me once I send the recording of today out to everybody on email. But Tea with Mel is a 12-week one-to-one session, weekly sessions with myself, high impact transformational coaching. Yes, you will be going through modern mindset profiling. Yes, we will be talking about your 5P, but the most important thing that we will be doing is we will be looking at how you manage time, how you manage your energy, and how you manage what you focus and prioritize. We will blast those three things out of the water and we will recreate them so that you are able to do more with less. And of course, as I always say to everybody, there is always the option just to spend a little bit of time with me for an hour just to chew the fat. If you would like to know a little bit more about your role as a practitioner, be that in the design and delivery of change and transformation, be that as a coach or mentor, or working in the L&D department or OD department of the organization, or if you're thinking about you as a role model, then you can take advantage of an hour's discovery call with myself and ask whatever questions you want, and I will give you an hour of my time and my expertise. As it says at the bottom here, the journey, your journey becomes everyone else's journey, and that is so incredibly important. And just to bring today's session to a close, what I want to do is I want to also offer everybody just the chance to explore your own modern mindset. And exploring your own modern mindset using our very simple SWOT. So it's not the full profiling tool, but it's a very, very simple Word document that allows you to just reflect and consider your strength across the 7 dimensions, your willingness to lean into them and to focus on them, the opportunities that developing them might bring to your current work environment, and the triggers that might either serve you or not when it comes to those 7 dimensions. So that's a guided worksheet and template that you might want to have a go at. And again, if you'd like to have access to that, pop SWOT into the chat, or when I send the recording, I will also leave those instructions with you. Just reply to me in the email SWOT, and what I will do is I will just send that document over to you. It's a really nice thing. It's a little bit of serious play, but it's a great way to start your journey. Banana skins, as we come to the end of today's session, I always give a banana skin. And the banana skin here is this: inconsistency and ego. Inconsistency is not our friend when it comes to mindset work, when it comes to really working on who we are. It might be, you know, there might be a time, there might be a place where you want to spike, there might, you know, some time or get really deep work done. That's fine. But when you're working on mindset, when you're working on who you are, it's less is more in order for you to repeat it and make it consistent. Inconsistency is a big banana skin when it comes to mindset work. And of course, the second one is ego, thinking you've got it. You know, I've got this, Mel. I understand intellectually everything that you've said to me today. I've got this. Have you? I wonder. We can't let ego get in the way. There has to be a sense of vulnerability. There has to be a sense of humility with mindset work, because it is a practice and it is a journey. And there you go. So to leave you all with a quote, this is the quote for the day: success comes from the inside out. To change what is on the outside, we must first change what is on the inside. And even though you're working most likely on an outside system, if you can see yourself at the center of that change, if you are able to prioritize your own mindset as a consistent practice, then you will start to really reap the benefits of success coming from the inside out. There you go. So I hope that you have enjoyed today's session. I hope that you want to know more about what I'm talking about. Do let me know either in the chat, via DM on the email that I sent through to everybody later on today with the recording. And of course, follow me on LinkedIn. We have a new page now called Tea with Mel. If you're not already following us, please do follow us there. It is pretty cool. We've got lots of nice little reflections and thoughts and exercises and materials coming up to help you get to a point of mastery with time, energy, and attention yourself. And, you know, think about those 7 mindsets. Think about those 5 Ps. And where are you at? And if you are working on them, when are you working on them? Is it in your home life? Is it in your private life? Or are you giving yourself enough courage and bravery to be working on those things when you should be, which is in your working hours? And on that note, I will leave you all. Happy Wednesday to you, top of the week. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week. And I will hopefully see you all in a fortnight's time for more humanity-centered transformation and maybe a little bit more tea with Mel. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you soon.